Hey guys, welcome back to another video. I've been debating whether or not I wanted to make this video for a while now. This video in no way is for pity or sympathy or to get you to feel bad for me or anything along those lines. This video is to literally be put out there so that someone who might be going through something similar to me knows that they're not alone. I feel like a lot of things are misunderstood, and I kind of want to put my feelings out there so that maybe someone who doesn't understand it as much will understand. What I want to talk about today is anxiety and depression. It is something that I've struggled with for a very long time now. The crazy thing is anxiety doesn't just come from one thing. It isn't just necessarily genetic, or it's not a chemical imbalance. It can be just life that happens that triggers it, that sets it, that causes it to happen. So I know that there are definitely people who can relate to what I'm going through, but there's so many people who don't get it and don't understand it and think, oh, you're fine. Whatever behavior you're doing, just stop. It's really not that easy. The other big thing that I struggle with is depression. For me personally, one of the biggest things of my anxiety is my OCD, and it's sometimes so crippling. For me, with my anxiety, I feel like my anxiety and depression literally feed off of each other. One might be stronger than the other, but because one is strong, it makes the other one strong. And it's a never-ending teeter-totter, and it can become so suffocating. There are some days that absolutely nothing can go wrong, and it's still there. For me, depression is something that just lurks and wants to see the negative and the bad in everything. Anxiety is just to the point that I want to shut down. I can't breathe. I'm overthinking. I'm over analyzing. I'm over everything, and it becomes so bad. And when I'm in public, like I don't know what to do. I literally start panicking, and it's a lot to handle. I believe that I've had anxiety probably my entire life. I believe that it wasn't as strong as a child. I feel like my anxiety heightened when my depression started. I believe that my depression started probably when I was in middle school to high school. I remember there were days that I was so upset and so depressed that I begged my mom not to have me go to school, and I still had to go. I feel like they severely started affecting my life around the time of graduation and beginning into college. My anxiety spiked like none other come the time that I moved away, because I was going to school and I didn't know anyone there, so I had no friends. I was away from my family. I had never felt more alone previously until that day. I remember I was so excited to move up and go to school and, you know, have my own place and pursue a passion that I was in love with, which was photography. I moved up a week early to try to get more familiar with the apartment complex, to be familiar with the campus, because I lived right across from the campus. I was just laying in bed just crying. I was so miserable, and I begged my mom to let me come back home and visit and stay up until like the day that I had to go back to go to start school. I eventually met people and had friends, and I mean, of course I was still anxious, and I ended up getting into a rut. I'm depressed, and I started on medication, and then eventually I did end up on anxiety meds. And I learned that although they helped, they made me not who I was anymore or who I wanted to be. They're drugs. They were very mind altering, and I was not happy. I wasn't happy when I was depressed or anxious, but I wasn't happy with not feeling, I guess. The difference between high school and college for me was that I was more in charge of my attendance in college. I didn't have to get a parent's permission or a doctor's slip, or, you know, worry about if I miss too many classes then I'm not able to move on to the next grade or graduate for that matter. So I took advantage of this, and one of my biggest coping mechanisms was staying in bed, not talking to anyone, not, you know, I would get up and force myself to shower just because that was my OCD, and I would, you know, eat the bare minimum, or if I couldn't force myself to eat, I wouldn't eat at all. I went through a lot of weight changes from graduation until now, and I feel like I will probably continue to, and I think it's really just all about how bad my anxiety or depression is. Sometimes it's to the point that I'm just want to eat nonstop, and it's sometimes to the point that I can't force myself to eat. It really was just a lot of factors that caused them or triggered them. Anything between school to jobs to relationships to friends. I mean, it could be the littlest things or the biggest things that would cause them to be as severe as they were. The reason why this video even came to mind is because my timeline has been blowing up with anxiety and depression quotes and articles, and I have shared a lot of them, but I feel like they're just other people's words. They're pretty accurate, and I mean, I have definitely dealt with a lot of that, and I just want people to know that those people who tell you like, oh, it's no big deal, get over it, or oh, you're fine, or oh, you know, you're over exaggerating, you don't know what a person is truly going through. You don't know how hard it is, how bad you just want to give up. Having a support system there is great. One of the biggest struggles for me is either I feel like I'm either bothering them and I don't want to tell them about what I'm going through and dealing with, because that's the last thing you want to do is burden anyone with your problems. But if you don't vent and you don't talk to someone, everything just gets bottled up, and it's just so much harder because you don't know what to do. I feel like for me, especially recently, I would say at least the last 6 months, if not a little bit longer, I've had so many life changes recently, and I just don't feel like myself anymore. I feel lost. I don't want to get out of bed. I don't want to do anything. And it's hard because life doesn't stand still. And there's things that you have to do, and there's obligations, and there's people that you let down. It's hard. It's really hard. Thinking that things will get better, I think, is probably one of the hardest things to do when you're in the mindset of heightened anxiety and severe depression. And it could be easy. I could just go take some pills and feel nothing. But the worst part is that I already feel empty, and I already feel nothing besides the two emotions that are just running rampant that I feel I have zero control over. That I feel like putting drugs in the mix would not help. I feel like they would be temporary, and I would become miserable all over again because it's not what I want. and it's not what I need. I hope that this video helps at least one person. Know that you're not alone. Know that you're not the only one that struggles through this. Know that if someone doesn't understand, that you're not in the wrong. This isn't your fault. You're not a bad person for feeling these ways. I have to keep telling myself that there is a light at the end of this tunnel. There is some good that's gonna come. It's just so hard to think about when all you think about is all the negatives. Life's hard. Life is a lot. And the older you get and the more responsibility you have and the more events that your life goes through, this is bound to keep happening. But I feel like something that I personally, and probably many others, need to work on is trying to figure out a way to get yourself out of feeling this way, to distract yourself, to try, and things will get better. I don't know how, I don't know when, but there's no way that this can last forever. So just know that no matter what you're going through, no matter what you're dealing with, you're cared about, you're loved, and this isn't the end. This isn't all that life will be. This isn't just darkness and emptiness and loneliness and whatever other feelings come with your anxiety and depression or whatever other things that you're going through. Just know that there's more. And honestly, that's all I can say.